Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 6:30 p.m. Special City Council meeting for September 9th, 2025. We have a quorum. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Maloney.
Present.
Vice Mayor Pearson.
Here.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Here.
Councilmember Orlemans.
Here.
Mayor Meyer.
Here, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comments. The public comment time for tonight's items will be 5 minutes each. In order to ensure that all speakers feel welcome to share their views, members of the audience are kindly requested to refrain from applauding or speaking to the council from the audience without being called upon first.
At this time, we'll accept public comments on items that are listed on the closed session agenda. I have not received any written public comments in advance. I have no requests to speak in person or hands raised in Zoom.
Thank you. We need a motion to recess to closed session.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in recess. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We are coming back from closed session. There's nothing to report from closed session at this time, and I need a motion to adjourn closed session.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And closed session is adjourned. Moving into our regular city council meeting, we have a quorum. Let's get a roll call, please.
Councilmember Maloney,
Present.
Vice Mayor Pearson,
Present.
Councilmember Mendoza,
Here.
Councilmember Orlemans,
Here.
Mayor Meyer.
Here, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are starting this evening with a presentation, and we're going to invite Trustee Vanoy Moretti of the Contra Costa Mosquito and Vector Control District to give a presentation on behalf of the district.
Thank you, Mayor Meyer and all the city council members. It's thanks for this opportunity to present the Contra Costa County Mosquito and Vector Control District, what it does. And I have a small presentation. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. And so as we start off, then okay. So I think one of the reasons the Contra Costa Mosquito and Vector Control District came into existence was in 1920s. There was a huge mosquito infestation, and then schools were closed and real estate issues and unthinkable areas. So basically, in 1926, citizens voted for the mosquito abatement district to be formed in 1927. And then in 1993, they also added the component of vector control, like rat, mouse, rabies, and other infection tracking. And then they added the vector control district also as part of the main organization. And this is a special district, independent. There are 35 employees. Operational jurisdiction is about 716 square miles. And funding is mostly from the property taxes from the county and also benefit assessments, depending on how much more like help is needed from different places. And of course, a vector is an insect or animal that can transmit disease or cause discomfort to people and other animals is a more or less a definition. So district services include, among, as many of us know, mosquitoes, inspection and controlling, rats, mice, inspection and advice. For skunks, there was a program earlier that was also to catch the skunks, but now they have moved away from that. It is mostly inspection and advice on it. Ticks, yellow jackets, the ground-nested one, not the tree ones. And then, of course, the bees, inspection and education. Bees are always very good, so we help them. People get more benefit and knowledge. And of course, they have 23 confirmed mosquito species in Contra Costa County. 2 of them actually can propagate West Nile virus. So basically, the West Nile virus gets infected into the bird, and then it actually has a gestation period, and then the mosquito bites the bird, and then it gets transmitted either to humans or horses or animals and things. So, of course, there's another mosquito type, Aedes aegypti, which is a yellow fever causing one. And then this was detected in Martinez and south of Highway 4 in 2022, detected in northern Concord in 2024. And actually last year and this year, it's a huge big issue in Antioch, 2024 and 2025. And the Vector Control District had to put special resources and make sure this was taken care. And also it also contributed, it was also a part because the summer extended long, so this came very at the end of the summer. And of course, the request from Brentwood area is about 31 for mosquitoes. Mosquito fish, there's a unique small fish that primarily eats the mosquito larvae. So I think that's one of the things. And rat and mice, about 9 issues, and skunks, again, in identification, there's a few more that we have requested service from. Oh yeah, and then this is the first year, there is rice cultivation back in Holland Tract and Webb Tract. And right about now, it is about 352 acres this year. And then it's estimated to go to 1,000 acres in the next 5 years. And this is in a way a good thing, also in a great way also, because it solves the subsidence issue in the tracts. It does, and one of the other things is, as water stands, it may breed more mosquitoes. So that is another thing, and these are owned by the Metropolitan Water District. That is the one that funnels the water from our bay all the way down to LA. And so they are the Mosquito and Vector Control District is actively working with the Metropolitan Water District to get all things in place. And I think they're increasing the amount of mosquito fish that will be provided to them and other things so that we have the less mosquito populations. And this is important too, because the malaria causing female Anopheles mosquito, that actually travels about 20 miles, which we all might be in, like Oakley, Brentwood, Discovery Bay, all of us might be in the range. So we need to do a very good, effective mosquito control. Otherwise, coming years, we'll have to spend more resources. And then one of the main things also is how one of the things that we have to, so basically mosquitoes, nobody can identify which is a good mosquito, bad mosquito. None of us, regular people can. The only way to do that is if you see a lot of mosquitoes and actually biting and stuff, you should report it. Only then they'll come, trap them, and then they take the trapping, whatever they trapped, they take it to the lab, and then it's all ground. I mean, they're very small pieces, and then that is actually either sent to UC Davis or someone else inside in the lab. They do the DNA analysis and then find out what mosquito which, and is there any invasive species in there. So that's why whenever you see a lot of mosquitoes, the best thing is to do is to go report it so that people can start putting the traps and then do it. Another thing is one of the biggest breeder of mosquitoes is standing water. Be it like tubs or small cups in the backyard that are still just collected rainwater or the sprinkler water and then they're still there. Or even like the small little, the water holder we put on under the pots. Actually, that also that's enough for mosquitoes to breed. And so that is why it's a good thing, even though my kid always puts out water for the birds. But again, in a few days I come and then clean it out and scrub it out, and again he fills it up, which is a good thing. Birds are happy and we are happy. So moving out, throwing out the water would be one of the best things. And of course, mosquito control is a great thing. We should do that. And there's so many resources. Then we can even take school children there to show them what the different kind of animals look like. And this is where the old building is. And apart from this, we also want to see the request or some of the fundamental things that we're requesting all the residents to put in the request whenever they see that mosquitoes and other things. That's one of the things they can. We can go to the website itself, and then there is put in a request, and then there's different kind of services that you can request. But that will be where initially when you put in the request, that gets started, and then someone will be able to take a look at faster and identify anything that needs to be corrected. And of course, apart from this, there's other technologies. There's drones that get used so that they can spray lot areas. And then aeroplanes can be used also to spray areas, all the insecticides or the mosquito that kills the mosquitoes. And also, they do their own 3D model, 3D printing of the traps. And of course, mosquitoes are attracted to CO2. Basically, the CO2 that we breathe out, that's why when you see in the evening, everybody is above us, because they are only looking for whoever is giving out the carbon dioxide. So to trick them, what the people who are putting up the tracks do is, they put the solidified carbon dioxide, dry ice. So basically, they are small containers that has dry ice that is giving out the CO2 all through the night. That's when mosquitoes come and get trapped. And also, they do carry small sets of chicken around Brentwood and other places that people actually, in coordination with the district, they have it. So if chicken get infected first, then we know there's a West Nile virus or something else is happening. And then chicken are constantly tested. So there's a few things like this. And I think this time we have a very good control, and hopefully in future years, we have less invasive mosquitoes here. That's all I have today. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Go ahead.
I have a quick question.
Please, yeah. Sorry.
For our community, and thank you very much for your
most welcome.
presentation. Do we still need to call vector control if there's a dead bird? Because in the past, they used to ask the community to contact them for that.
Yes, I think we are still requesting people to call when there's a dead bird. But again, the facility where it goes and how it gets processed, and then I think there's a little backup. When they come in, they put it in the freezer, and then they look it whenever they can, I guess. That's what I heard. But again, someone will look into it. But yeah, definitely call in all these things.
Thank
That'll
you.
be very useful. Thank you so much. Thanks again.
One
Thanks for the
more
opportunity.
question, sorry, real quick. You
Sure,
mentioned
please.
this kind of surge that happened in Antioch.
I know.
Do you know why that happened?
I think one of the things was they identified the place where something was breeding in the backyard, and it went out. It was it's after the Highway 4 and before the Hillcrest Avenue. So that is where it happened. It happened last year too, and this year too again. So one of the things. And the people who go out to put the traps are very good, and they don't even have to come into the property from far. They find a branch and then put the trap and get out of there. But sometimes some residents are not too cooperative. So one of the biggest things we have to tell everyone is these people are just coming to not look at rest of the things that's in the house. They're only after the mosquitoes. They work with them. I mean, you have some bad, backyard that doesn't look good. They're not going to really worry about what else is there. So, but they want to get the mosquitoes. So sometimes people are a little protective. They don't allow anybody to come in, and that's when it gets more and more delayed. And then it becomes a bigger problem. But I think the district supposedly has a way, like if something goes too far and someone doesn't give, then they have to go to the court and get an order or something. But that far, it never went anywhere so far in our parts of the world. And also another thing is unmaintained swimming pools is another thing. So a lot of the times they just let it go. Nobody's using it. There's no chlorine in it anymore. It's just rainwater collects and goes bad. So they have come up also with technology where they fly planes over long distances with resolution so much that they really can't find out if there's a human is there or not. But they're looking for the color change. So that if there's murky water, or I think all swimming pools have like a kind of thing like the water drain thing, and usually that has a square or like a grid pattern on it. So from the aeroplane, they can't capture that grid pattern. That means the water is already bad. Then they come in and talk to the owner and say that, hey, this is so all those things. And then they're in the loop through the service requests are sent to them and saying, please take care of the pool. Otherwise, this affecting the neighborhood. So some of those things are also in place.
Thank you so much for that. We
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much. Thanks for the opportunity.
I'm so sorry. One more question.
Sure, please. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm here to answer all the questions. I'm just going to take more. Please, go ahead.
I apologize.
No,
You
no, you're
mentioned
good.
earlier that you worked with the schools in Antioch. Did you do any work with our Liberty Union High School district?
For Antioch, that was a special thing because the mosquito, the flare-up happened.
Okay.
They came and directly worked in the parks there. But to come to the schools, I think there is I think I'll work more with our schools where we'll have to send a letter to the district, I guess, saying that we want your services, come and talk to
Okay.
our children. I think I didn't get that far, but I'll work on that.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
And Mayor,
Yes.
and I think maybe he mentioned, but Benoit is actually our resident who sits on the mosquito vector. And if you said at the beginning, I spaced it, I apologize, but just wanted to thank that we have an active resident, active member who participates in one of these committees, and
Who
we
got appointed
appreciate.
by city council.
Yes, and he was
Yes.
just reappointed.
Yes. Thank you. Amanda, can you confirm for me how many comments we have at this point?
I have 4 speaker cards in person.
Okay. Moving into public comments, the public comment time for tonight's items will be 5 minutes each. In order to ensure that all speakers feel welcome to share their views, members of the audience are kindly requested to refrain from applauding or speaking to the council from the audience without being called upon first.
At this time, the public present in the council chamber are permitted to address the city council on items that are not on the agenda, items that are listed under informational reports or on the consent calendar, and requests for future agenda items, new requests. Comments for this meeting's detailed agenda items or business items should be made when those items are called. Please limit your remarks to 5 minutes, and the microphone will be muted when the timer expires. The first card I have is from Sahil.
Okay, hello City Council staff and City Council members. Thank you for letting us present some brief remarks regarding the work of our Youth Commission. First, Hello, everybody. My name is Sahil,
And I'm Aro.
and we are commissioners on the Brentwood Youth Commission. And now let's delve deeper into what we're doing.
Okay, so right now the Youth Commission is prioritizing new recreational events tailored for our youth and fundraisers to keep our commission's coffer going. Events/fundraisers that are currently being proposed or worked on are we're doing a career fair for the youth, a youth commission sponsored poetry night, an essay competition, a commission sponsored movie fundraiser, and some internal reworks.
Like a commission survey proposed by me, and also the career fair was proposed by him. And we are also planning to add and discuss more fundraisers, and we are also planning to add more youth-related leadership incentives, and more will be discussed at our October meeting.
We also formed various ad hoc committees, which will be delivering more details about events such as the craft night before Christmas, the middle school pool party, and the multicultural fair.
And now, last but not least, the youth-friendly business. I know we have some business owners in the back over here. Thank you for owning a business, by the way. If you are interested in applying for the Brentwood Youth-Friendly Business Award, you can contact our committee chairperson at chelvey@brentwoodca.gov, or me, which I am a member of that ad hoc committee, at snarula@brentwoodca.gov.
Next, as a goal to foster youth inclusivity, promote the quality of life for youth, and be an advocate for all minors in the city of Brentwood, we would highly encourage the amazing audience behind me to attend one of our meetings.
And maybe even give a public comment. Finally, thank you, Miss Madam Mayor Meyer, and thank you to the whole City Council for allowing the Commission to exist and supporting our initiatives all these years. Now with that, thank you, City Council staff and City Council members. We yield the floor.
Thank you.
Tom?
Hello, thank you. So I wrote this down tonight. It's short. Hopefully this is the last time I have to come and have these conversations, or about this conversation. So on Councilmember Mendoza's blog, recap of August 12th City Council meeting, she said that she had never lied about me. And again, she stated at the last City Council meeting that we had never had a phone call. To prove the continuing lies about me, T-Mobile keeps their logs for 18 months. I have the phone records to show that your cell phone called my cell phone June 25th of last year at 3:43 p.m. Your cell phone called mine for 31 minutes, where you apologized for some of the statements you made on the dais as well as the Brentwood Press. It was on the front page. I think you were walking into a city council meeting at the time. You got my phone number from another city council member, as a matter of fact. So there's three of us that know that we had this phone conversation that you say we never had. The Brentwood Press reporter told me he never used or said the word lies, and he never said that he pressed me for lies, which you stated on your blog. Another thing that's not true. I accept the fact that maybe sometimes you're given wrong information. And one of these days, maybe me and you will have that conversation, but there's just been too much repeat. It does take 3 votes from the city council to make a decision, and no one on the council knew that I was leaving. I decided to leave. I got tired of the way that Councilmember Mendoza treats our city staff, our council members, our local businesses, and now her and 4 of her friends and family members continually make misleading statements online. Let me say it again. Nobody on city council knew that I was leaving Brentwood. I did not leave Brentwood for money. I left Brentwood for disrespect. That's why I left Brentwood. It only takes the one city council member to make false statements and misleading comments about a small business owner and to make that business want to leave Brentwood. I didn't want to leave Brentwood, but I felt it was my rebuttal for the misleading comments. Then you imply because I said I'm a good old boy of Brentwood that I must be doing under-the-table deals. I'm born and raised Brentwood. I don't do under-the-table deals. You said it on your blog. Again, another lie. Again, no one else on city council had anything to do with it. I want to make sure the community knows that. Everybody on city council, everybody else, I have no issues with. None of them had anything to do with me leaving Brentwood, okay? None of the other city council members or the mayor. I will make you above the table deal. If you stop lying about me, I will stop coming here and calling you a liar. The phone records are available. I can send it to everybody on council. If you want to see the records, there's 26 or 36 pages. I made a lot of calls in June. Received a lot of calls in June. The Brentwood Press and a couple local medias have reached out. I gave it to them. When I got a text saying that the ABC wanted to talk to me, and ABC News might want to have a conversation about this, I have not reached back out to them. I don't want to reach back out to them. I feel like this is internal Brentwood issue, and that internally Brentwood should deal with it. I know the city council has a code of conduct. I believe everyone signed it. I know there was some discussion about Councilmember Mendoza perhaps didn't sign it. If I supplied the city council with proof that somebody on the council is lying about me, I get you guys all got to work together. So I'm not going to ask for you to do that because we still need to function as a community. So, but again, if city council members or Councilmember Mendoza, her friends or family and her will stop making misleading comments or lies about me, I would be thrilled to not come back in here and have this conversation again. Thank you. Have a good night.
I have a quick response. I have not apologized to you, and if I did, I take it back. You are a mean person who makes up stuff, and you can continue to come back every 2 weeks. I enjoy seeing you every 2 weeks. So next 2 weeks, see you then. Have a great night.
Would you like a copy of the phone log?
I don't need anything from you, Tom, at all.
Okay, please just stop lying.
I don't lie. And if people have asked you for all the documents on lies, and all you have is a phone call, that's not a lie.
Next speaker is Paul J.
Good evening. During his September 6th walk and talk at Briones Park in Martinez, Congressman Mark DeSaulnier was asked what the California Democrats are doing to reduce the cost of gasoline to at least a national average. That would be a 25 to 30% cut. After a lot of political speak saying it's complicated and that Californians can pay the higher price and are therefore charged more, the statements Democrats will fight to reduce the cost of gasoline was not uttered. In fact, Democrats have issued policies that drive oil producers from the state and have layered in significant taxes. We all pay much more than the rest of the country because of this purposeful manipulation. Remember this the next time you vote and demand better. We are all horrified by the brutal slaying of a young white woman by a black serial offender in North Carolina light rail in Charlotte. DeCarlos Brown was not in jail, but roaming the light rail. When Carolina sat in the seat in front of him, he took out a knife and cut her throat open in what is now being investigated as a race hate murder. A gruesome crime like this is a result of years of Democrats' soft on crime policy, where offenders are released to kill and commit more crimes. Remember this the next time you vote and demand better. Regarding crime, will our interim police chief, Ogrodnik, aggressively pursue criminals and support prosecution and imprisonment? Does he have a no-tolerance policy towards crime at all levels? Is he aware of local and regional gangs, cartel members and insurgent cells, and their activities? Will he act in concert with ICE and FBI to eradicate them from our community? Perhaps we can hear from him. The September 5th edition of the press carried a very biased article regarding vaccines and school admission. Mandates are still policy in our schools and are reportedly seen as a motivator by LUHSD Superintendent Denise Rugani. Mandates were the case with the deadly, dangerous, and ineffective mRNA gene therapy drug mandated on our kids who didn't need it, along with masking, isolation, field remote learning, and the squandering of billions of dollars in California alone. Perhaps the superintendent should focus on policy that would result in students graduating proficient in grade level math and reading instead of passing them through the system. A speaker in a previous meeting spoke about tolerance. Firstly, DEBI should be eliminated as a political governing ideology, but lacking that, it must have limits, and I wonder what those are. Would the board approve a BLM rally or flag waving at city events? Arguably, in 2020, BLM was or became an extortionist organization that sucked over $100 million out of corporations and then disappeared those funds, except for the high-end estates purchased in Hollywood neighborhoods by their leaders. They also led or incited or inspired also indiscriminate riots, assaults, murders, and fire bombings which destroyed the small businesses and lives of black people, and the destruction and desecration of national monuments as a force enabled by the radical left, Democrat left. Would you also allow clusters of drag queens or twerking dancers at public events or around children in parks? Would you allow pro-Hamas demonstrators to march and chant anti-Semitic remarks and death to America? In the council's laudable efforts to promote diverse cultures, will you properly vet the organizations you allow at public forums? Perhaps you could speak on this. Thank you.
Last speaker card I have is Paul.
Tonight, believe it or not, I'm not going to talk about the fire station. I'm not going to talk about the Veterans Hall. I'm actually going to talk about some absolutely beautiful and wonderful people that help others express who they really are through the art and what they do. I'm speaking about the tattoo parlor downtown. I've heard many people talk about, oh, tattoo parlors are crime-ridden and drug-infested and all this stuff. Well, I tell you what, theirs is different. I remember when I got my tattoo before some of you were born and many of you were in elementary school. That was a place that fits that narrative. If you go to visit them at their old shop where they had it or now, there's children playing. There's people sitting there talking. They are true artists, helping people express who they are inside through their art. And I think it's a great disservice that that is not allowed to take place here. When I got mine many, many years ago, it reflected the anger and rage that I carried with me every single day for most of my life. Last 6 months, my world has really changed dramatically. And when they're finally allowed to open their business, they're going to help me get rid of that part of my life and express how I really feel to this day. So I urge you to allow it. It's not a den of iniquity. It's not drug-ridden. There's no illicit things going on there. It's people helping other people express who they are. Now, I'm going to make a quick comment on another subject that just came up. Chief Ogrodnik, I've known close to 20 years. I've lived here almost 30 years. Any assertion or insinuation that he is not hard on crime, that he is not going to put the bad guys behind bars or do his job, is absolutely vulgar and disgusting to me. That's one of the finest human beings I've ever met in my life. And I would kick in the doors of hell for him and go in first. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I have no additional speaker cards.
Thank you. Moving into informational reports. This portion of the agenda is to provide an opportunity for council members to report on attendance at events, subcommittee meetings, and entities on which the council member has been appointed as a liaison, and for staff to provide brief updates and/or information to the city council. We will start this evening with Councilmember Mendoza.
Hello. Since the last time we met, I attended a mixer at Westmont, which was a lot of fun. I actually had no idea how nice it was in there. It's very, very nice. It had a Cal City's Latino Caucus Board meeting. And actually, I have had a lot of questions about the ice skating rink, and I continue to stand by. I did not apologize. So if anyone has any questions, you can continue to ask me, and looking forward to seeing Tom again in 2 weeks.
Vice Mayor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Since the last council meeting, I attended the ribbon cutting that was thrown by the Chamber of Commerce for the Brentwood Ice Cream Company. If you know anything about that business, they use locally sourced fruits to make their ice cream, which was amazing. I had some peach ice cream, and it was really good. I got to see Ricardo was out there, a lot of the chamber people, and it was a really nice event. I attended the La Grande Fiesta. That same day, I hosted a women's conference called the B Conference that was all about women's health. And we had representatives from John Muir Hospital come to talk about self-breast exam. Our mayor came. We had some great local celebrities, local people in sponsoring. And then our very own councilwoman, Faye Maloney, was there as one of our speakers talking about being connected to purpose. Supervisor Chanel Scales Preston was there, being connected to purpose. And one of the people that we did a recognition of, Sylvia High from Aiming High Inc., was one of our moderators. And it was just a phenomenal event. About 65 people showed up, so it was really great. Just want to thank everyone who was able to attend for coming. I met with Councilmember Tamisha Torres Walker of Antioch. We had lunch to discuss how we can partner up to share as neighbors, what we can do to kind of have some synergy there. I know she works with a lot of nonprofit organizations and talked a lot about the turkey drives that she has coming up and some other opportunities. I went to the farmer's market, and then also I attended the NAACP general meeting. I'll actually be speaking at their youth event, and this Friday I'll be speaking at the Girls Empowerment event that's hosted by the Rotary. So very busy bee. Thank you.
Councilmember Orlemans?
Thank you. Welcome to everybody who's here tonight. It's always nice to look up and see people in the audience and see people that want to be connected to their government. Since the last meeting, as the chair for Tri-Delta Transit, I did a welcoming address for the Pittsburgh Police Department while they were using the facility out on Wilbur Avenue as a training site, as well as training on the buses. Last week was Chief Herbert's retirement week. I attended the coffee with the chief, his final sign-off, as well as retirement party. Welcome, Interim Chief Walter Ogrodnik. I attended the farmer's market, La Grande Fiesta, the groundbreaking for the fire station, POW board meeting. Coming up for POW is a first annual poker tournament, and it's November 2nd. And you can jump on their website and get tickets or sign up for that event. And I think that was it.
Councilmember Maloney?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for being here. Since the last meeting, I participated in 3 different special council meetings that we've had. I met with the community member regarding music at City Park. I also attended the Women Leaders in Law Enforcement Symposium, which is a leadership conference that focuses on leadership, resilience, and empowerment for those in policing. I was really happy to see members from our Brentwood PD attend as well. Simon Sinek was one of the keynote speakers, and he did a phenomenal job just kind of relating leadership to current law enforcement culture. That was really great. I was also honored to attend the B conference that was hosted by Vice Mayor Pearson at the Macaulay Vineyards. The conference was amazing. There were so many inspirational women that shared their vision and purpose on how they navigate their personal and professional lives. It was very inspirational. I also attended La Grande Fiesta downtown at City Park. It was such a great turnout. Thank you for all that made that happen. And yesterday we had our agriculture committee meeting, which went great. We got some great data on how many people visited our farms during UPIC season. The number was about 600,000. That was pretty cool. We also learned that Harvest Time will be celebrating its 50th year anniversary next year. So there will be so many celebratory events and features next year, so keep an eye out. Thank you.
Thank you. Since we met last, I had a meeting with our interim city manager and Brentwood Lions and representatives from the Lions Vision Center and Lions Foundation to start planning a regional vision-focused clinic event. So look for more information on that moving forward. Where I also spoke with the mayors in Pittsburgh and Oakley and Antioch about taking part in this event. And more information will be public on that once we have some things to discuss. Took part in Play Music on the Porch Day. It was our first. We had 7 entries this year. I was able to stop at 4. Very, very different kinds of music. It was very fun. Thanks to Parks and Rec for their part of making that work. Next year, it'll be, again, the last Saturday in August, and we're hoping for even a broader response. I met with the representative from Be Exceptional Nonprofit about current resources and some issues they had with their the site where they are, potentially talking about like a resource fair for people with disabilities. Of course, attended the B conference hosted by the vice mayor, and it was already described very well. Great day. La Gran Fiesta, the East Contra Costa Historical Society fundraiser, and the Agricultural Enterprise Committee meeting. And to add to what Councilmember Maloney said, the presentation was really strong, although they argued whether 600,000 was accurate. They thought it was more than that. But Abraham Salinas from our Economic Development Department did some really good work to, it was kind of like cell phone tracking to be able to determine what those numbers were. The other thing that they shared with us that was interesting is of those 600,000, 21% visited restaurants following a U-Pick, and 14% went shopping. So the idea is to try and increase those numbers and to do a little bit more cross promotions when it comes to agritourism. And actually, that would be it for me. Oh, except for Darren.
Thank you, Mayor Meyer. So a couple items. We had a meeting with the Makers Market as it relates to how they choose their monthly vendors. I participated in a city managers meeting as relates to how other cities are dealing with immigration raids in their community. Although we, to my knowledge, have not had anything specific, we want to make sure that we're ready if something did come forward. And as we've read a statement in the past, we've also had a statement on social media as relates to that. Myself and our finance director did meet with an AI company as relates to something innovative that staff might be able to use to help us identify and improve our processes for providing information to residents. I met with the Villa Amador Apartments regarding parking issues in the surrounding neighborhood to hopefully see a decrease in the amount of parking from the apartments into the residential neighborhoods and some of the issues that it's has created. I did attend a portion, I watched a good portion of the Youth Commission, but also attended the Youth Commission. Next time I'll make sure I make a public comment. And then we did have a very successful meeting today regarding the Nail property. We did find out that our Surplus Land Act we have gone through the process and we've been given the go-ahead to move forward with that. So that's very exciting. It'll take about 3 to 6 months, we believe, to work through negotiations with Harvest Time as we move forward with that. And then I finally, although I don't have names, I do want to thank our Parks and Rec staff. On Balfour Road, there's an area of the median that's, it's just rock. That area is actually owned, operated, maintained, or I won't even really say maintained. It's Caltrans property. And we had a residence issue come through, and our Parks and Rec staff was able to go out and take care of those weeds. It would have been done quicker, but we were trying to get Caltrans to keep it on their books, so it's something that they do. But we appreciate a council member forwarding that on and for a resident bringing it to our attention. It is something we knew about. Again, we're just trying to get Caltrans to do it, but after a month, we went out and did it ourselves, and we appreciate our Parks and Rec staff for that effort.
I have a question. I've been getting several calls, and I should have did this to you directly, but it just came up when you brought up the issue. The ironworks that's on Sand Creek and O'Hare on the corner that was done under the PATA project. Several residents have reached out to me about whether or not we were going to add any type of vegetation, plants, and when will that come down the pipeline? I think that was included in the original design, but I don't know if that, when and if that's going to happen.
I will make sure that we maybe report out in the next council meeting. I can give some information. We can share some information, put it online. I do not know off the top of my head, but we'll get that. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving into consent. The proclamations for items F1 and F2 will be presented after the vote. Do we have a motion?
A motion to adopt all consent calendar items.
No, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. We will,
I'm sorry.
Oh,
We need
sorry.
the city clerk to read the ordinance title.
Oh.
Forgive me.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Brentwood regulating tobacco product sales, requiring the license of tobacco retailers, and adding Chapter 5.76 to the Brentwood Municipal Code.
Okay. If the VFW members would like to meet us by the podium. Thank you. was a whole line of you. I'm going to read this first. This is so loud. I'm going to read this first, and then we'll probably comments across, I would imagine, and if any of you would like to speak, we would love to hear that as well. This is a big deal. Huge deal. Sorry, my adjective was wrong. Okay. Whereas the Brentwood Veterans Memorial Building has stood for 100 years, say it again, 100 years as a living memorial dedicated to those who served and sacrificed in defense of our nation, and as a gathering place for veterans and the broader community. And whereas since 1925, the Brentwood Veterans Memorial Building has welcomed all veterans organizations and community uses embodying fellowship, service, and civic pride. And whereas the Brentwood Veterans Memorial Building played a pivotal civic role by hosting the first Brentwood City Council meetings following the city's 1948 incorporation, anchoring our young municipality in a spirit of public service. And whereas in times of need, the Brentwood Veterans Memorial Building has opened its doors for public voting, town meetings, emergency shelter, and even classrooms for Liberty High School students, demonstrating steadfast commitment to community. And whereas the Brentwood Veterans Memorial Building Incorporated and local veterans posts continue to steward this landmark for ceremonies, camaraderie, and remembrance, ensuring it remains a beacon of gratitude and unity. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Brentwood hereby commemorates the centennial of the Brentwood Veterans Memorial Building, recognizes a century of service to veterans and residents alike, and expresses profound appreciation for the enduring legacy of community, remembrance, and civic engagement that thrives within its walls. Dated this 9th day of September, 2025. I think I'll applause. Would one of you like to speak to start?
Okay, no. Number one, thank you all. Although some of you were required to be at the groundbreaking yesterday, we don't hold it against you. I was told to say that. I have no choice sometimes. Thank you, number one, to all of you. This is a huge, huge thing for us. Not only are we going to celebrate it, we're having, we've invited some local dignitaries to show up. We're reaching out to some exceptional people to become our members. And as you can see behind me, we have all these people here. There are different entities that work out of that hall. I personally am American Legion. We have the VFW. Phil is from the American Legion. This is my wife, and she's from the auxiliary. We have Paul, who's here representing the Riders.
Phil representing Lions and a vet.
And Sergeant Ellison, yes, who is active duty and a recruiter. Oh, just a recruiter? I thought you were on active duty. Okay. Anyway, she's part of Project Creekside, so that's where I met her. Oh, is she? I didn't know that. See, what I don't know? But to all of you, thank you. And does anyone else want to speak?
Hello. I'm a Staff Sergeant Ellis of the United States Army, currently a recruiter in Brentwood itself. I came to Brentwood about 4 years ago from Germany to be a recruiter. Didn't want to be a recruiter, but I found that I liked it a little, like changing minds. As a recruiter and as a current active duty member and Afghanistan veteran and standing here with all these veterans, it is a lot to ask from a 17, 18, 19-year-old to leave their family members, leave everything that they know, and go put themselves out there, go try new things, go fight for their countries. Some come back, some don't come back. But life, the only thing about life is it's always changing. You will always make friends. You will always try new things. I was never part of the VFW until I came here and I got bullied into it, but they're good people. But Brentwood is a great community. I've also been a part of the Chamber of Commerce as well. I've never been fully involved in a community as I have in Brentwood as a currently active duty service member. You would never know because I like to do things like play with my dog, play games, walk around, sometimes not in uniform, so you'd never notice me. But these gentlemen, these women here who are either standing here or not standing here have served a great commitment to their community, their city, and the United States of America, and I would like to thank them all for everything that they have done. Unfortunately, I will be leaving this December to be going to Korea for a year, so that will be my next station that it takes me. Thank you.
Any other vets want to speak? Okay, opening it up.
Thank you very much for your service. We look forward to your 100th celebration. Thank you so much.
As I've told some of you, I can't come to the luau, and I'm very disappointed about it because it was so wonderful last year. And I hope you raise a lot of money at it and are able to celebrate those 100 years in a really special way. We've had an interesting way our relationships with you have developed. And I believe I've been incredibly impressed by the way you've come and spoken up for yourselves and advocated for yourselves and what you believed. And while it wasn't necessarily the end result you wanted, or I wanted for that matter, you continue to come, you continue to show up, and you continue to be a part of the community. And for you to have so many events in that building that have changed so many lives and have been at the beginning of someone's life and at the end of someone's life. You've been the memorial, you've been the gender reveal parties probably. We thank you as a city council, as a community for being everything to so many people and for being a safe space to veterans who really need that peace and that camaraderie and that connection with all of you. So it means so much to us to be able to celebrate the 100 years today and to congratulate you on that and to thank you for so much that you've done over the years to really give back to your communities. Thank you.
I've learned to be a little bit spicier by Paul, so thank you for that. I just want to say happy 100th. It's amazing to think that 100 years ago, people had the forethought that knew that there would be a place that was going to be needed for many, many years to come. Like the mayor said, there is an elephant in the room, right? I think that Dan said there was an event yesterday, and I couldn't attend, but if I could have attended, I would have been standing with you on the other side. So I think that it is important that we continue to fight for what we feel is right, that we continue to hold people accountable, such as Supervisor Diane Burgess, and that we never stop fighting, because that is what our country is about. We don't give up, we don't take our foot off the gas, and I appreciate you all for the friendships that I have formed over the last couple of years. You all mean a lot to me, and that place means a lot. That's where we said bye to Bill Weber. So thank you so much for everything.
I just want to thank you for your service, and I want to thank that building for its service to the community. I appreciate each and every one of you. You've touched me the most to anybody when I was going through a really critical time losing a grandfather who was a veteran, to give me the bullets. Every time we walk past him at the house, it touches me. So thank you so much for that, and thank you all for everything, and have a good shindig in celebration of the building.
Okay, so we do want to present, we have two, yes.
I was going to say this to begin with and totally forgot, got so involved. The American Legion was founded in 1919. That building was built and dedicated in 1925. The American Legion was founded in Paris, France. So that tells you that veterans have been involved for a long time. And you mentioned it Bill Weber made sure that
Considering that Bill was so involved in this discussion for a long time, could we take a moment of silence for him? Thank you. Thank you. And we would like to present the proclamations. We've got 2 here. We're certainly happy to make more if anyone would like one for their home, if you'd rather hang one in the VFW, whatever you'd like to do.
I don't think anybody would have out-tapped Dan besides Bill.
Yeah. And so who would like to, I mean, we want you all to come over on this side and get a picture, but who would like to receive the initial 2 proclamations? Okay. Come on, everyone come around. We are not quite done. Hello again. Our next proclamation is in honor of Patriot Day. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, our nation endured an unprecedented attack on American soil that claimed the lives of nearly 3,000 innocent people and forever changed the course of our history. And whereas Patriot Day is observed each year as a day of remembrance for the lives lost, the heroes who rushed toward danger, and the families whose lives were altered by grief, yet strengthened by hope. And whereas we also recognize the service members who answered the call to defend freedom in the years that followed, and the countless men and women who continue to serve and protect our country at home and abroad. Whereas the city of Brentwood stands united with communities across the nation in reflection, remembrance, and resolve, ensuring that future generations understand both the weight of the loss and the strength of the unity that carried us forward. And whereas on this day we are called to participate in acts of remembrance by observing a moment of silence at 8:46 a.m., flying the American flag at half-staff, and renewing our shared commitment to the values of freedom, justice, and resilience. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Brentwood hereby recognizes September 11th, 2025 as Patriot Day, and encourages all residents to honor the lives lost and the heroes who served by standing together in reflection and resolve, dated this 9th day of September 2025. Did you want to?
This one is a little harder for me. I'm a 3rd generation military. My grandfather served in Vietnam. My father was in the Corps. He'll always be in the Corps. And then he transferred into the Army Reserves to continue his service. As a child, I was in middle school, I believe. And that was the time that my father got activated to go. I didn't know anything at the time. My dad just left. So I was like, where's my dad? And my mom couldn't tell me. Luckily, he's back, he's alive, everything's fine. But as a child, not knowing where your mom or your dad is very hard. I know some of y'all were probably watching it in high school on the TV. Mine was on the TV at home before middle school. And I decided to join after high school to better myself and change my life. I am from Florida, so California is a lot different than Florida. A lot more mosquitoes in Florida. But serving in the military is the greatest thing that somebody could ever do. It's the most honorable thing somebody could ever do. Selfless sacrifice, honor, commitment, integrity, personal courage is all the things that are instilled, and also leadership. As a staff sergeant or as a sergeant, you are a leader. Your job is to provide purpose, direction, and motivation to those younger than you or to those higher and tell them, hey, this is wrong, make it right. I've been in for 12 years now. I have deployed. When I deployed, I was 19 years old to Afghanistan. My job was defend the airspace from rockets, artilleries, and mortars so that those people could sleep at night and go home the next day. That was my job. That's still my job. Like I said, unfortunately, I'll be going to Korea, but my job still stays the same, and it's to provide aerial cover for helicopters and drones. And I love my job. I love everything that I do. I love making sure that people are happy, but I also love to be myself. I like to play games. I'm a big nerd. I walk around in regular clothes. You would never know that I'm in the Army. But I would like to thank these gentlemen for all their sacrifices as well. It doesn't matter if you deployed or you're not deployed. You just simply putting on the uniform speaks more volumes than most other people who do not. The ability to say, hey, I'm going to sacrifice everything that I know and I love, that I'm comfortable with, and go change myself and go into the unknown. It's something that most people just can't do. And that's okay if you can't do it. So I would like to thank the city of Brentwood for actually allowing me to be here and to accept this award. This is a great honor. This is like the second most honor than my flag being flown over Florida. So I would just thank you guys. Thank you for everything.
"9/11 will always be a day that's so ingrained in my memory. I still remember everything I was doing. I was actually getting ready to go to work, and it was insane. And it was a part of the reason what kind of drew me into my regular job, which is law enforcement. The sacrifices that you guys do defending our country is beyond unthinkable. We're beyond grateful. Bravery, integrity, the honesty, the strength that you all possess, you guys as well, fighting for our country to make sure that we have our rights. And unfortunately, so many people take our rights for granted. But we have the most beautiful country due to the rights and due to the work that you all do defending our country and our freedoms. So forever, I will be grateful for your service and for everybody else that's in the service. So thank you, and thank you for coming today.
So I was not sitting at home watching TV. I was on 9/11 when the first tower was hit. I was sitting in a parking lot waiting to take a test to get on OPD's SWAT team. And I started my career in the military. We can't express enough to all of you, to everybody who has served our country, to everybody who serves here at home, and we can't express the gratitude we have for you. We wouldn't be where we are today without all of you doing exactly what you did whenever you did that, in whatever country you did that in, and whatever sacrifices you made to do that. We truly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
My father lost a close friend in one of the towers. And my husband's family, who all lives on the East Coast, they were all continue to be in elevators in the Union. And some of the stories that they shared, that they were standing in the rooms in buildings in New York City and looking out the windows and saw some horrifying things I can't imagine that won't haunt them for the rest of their lives. And I think the thing that resonated with everyone following that, beyond the horror and the terror and the fear of what was going to happen next, was the unity. And in large part, first responders and our military were behind that. You all were committed to keeping, you weren't at the time, military was committed to keeping us safe. First responders was committed to responding to the urgency of that day. So in addition to that, in addition to all of the appreciation and the respect from that, I thank you for your service today. And I think it was very brave of you to jump forward, to sign up and become a member of the military and stand for the nation and for what you believe in as a third generation in your family. So thank you for what you're doing.
I have to echo the sentiment of the mayor. I thank you and your family members for all taking the leap of faith to step out and protect all of us. I guess we're all telling a 9/11 story, so I'd like to share. On the morning of 9/11, my ex-husband, at the time we were happily married, was flying over the Pentagon right after it had been struck. And that was the scariest thing, was what was going on with our country, but also to know that there was a loved one flying over. I immediately moved to Washington, D.C., and one of the things that made me feel amazing was seeing all of the military presidents in Washington, D.C., in the DMV area, was there to protect us. It made me feel like I'm at home, I'm okay, and to know that we were being taken care of on our soil. So thank you all for your service. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for, I know sometimes recruiters are the job that gets a little demonized, but I thank you for stepping out to find people who are willing to step out. I'm like you, I have a generation of family members who, grandfather, father, and then my uncle served in Vietnam in the Navy. And so I just really appreciate everything that you all do. And a lot of people don't understand when people go, when they come home, there's a lot of other things that come home too, that families and generations have to go through that we don't remedy in our country. So thank you for everything that you're doing. And I couldn't think of a better person to take this and receive this proclamation. When we say God bless America, I think also I'm saying God bless you. God bless you on your travels to Korea. And I wish you the best of luck.
I mean, they've said so much, but I just thank you for your service. Thank you for your time dedicated to Brentwood and working with our kids. I said to someone today, I will always pick fighting for my kids over everything. So thank you for spending time with them and speaking with them. And I think we all have 9/11 stories, but I just want to say that was the first day that I ever realized that terrorism could hit the United States. So I appreciate you, that you all know how horrible it can be, and you still choose to do this and protect us and keep us safe. And thank you. I can't say it enough.
That was definitely one of the more emotional, I would say, proclamations, the two of them we just did. Thank you for all of you for supporting our military and taking part in this. We are moving into our first business item, and Amanda Cheney, Recreation Supervisor, will present a review of the evening basketball program RFP process.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council. Tonight, I'm bringing back a RFP template for evening basketball. A little background, as you recall, in February, City Council voted to donate and create an MOU with Grace Arms for the one-time donation of $25,000 for the purpose of an evening basketball league. At the same time, also directed staff allow staff time and resources to create an RFP for the purpose of an evening basketball program in the city of Brentwood. And as outlined in the staff report, there's a template RFP as well as a sample instructor agreement and the details that City Council had asked for us to return with are included in the RFP as well. We ask that you provide us feedback on that draft, and then city staff will finalize and release that RFP before the end of the year. That's it for me, and I'm available for questions.
Any clarifying questions for staff?
I guess I have a question. Do we have to do this tonight, or could we make this part of the strategic plan to understand what's happening with Park and Recs as a whole? Because I feel like we're doing piecemeal. And I'd like to understand like all of the programs offered and see, like, talk about it through then.
Yeah, so the council asked for this to be brought back for the end of the year, so that's why it's brought back. But if the council wants to push it off to a strategic session, when I say push it off, that sounds like a negative word. If the council would like to continue it to a time in the future, absolutely could. That's up to the city council. If you want to do an RFP, can get it out before the end of the year.
I echo what he said.
If we do bring it back as a part of our strategic plan sessions, could we discuss maybe if our Parks and Rec staff are to run this program rather than doing an RFP?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Also, I saw in the email that it said Grace Arms didn't secure, but I thought I saw an email saying that they did secure a location, so I'm kind of confused about which one it is.
So we were told that they had secured a location. Unfortunately, that location did not work out. So they do not have a location now.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think I like the idea of, well, we can discuss later.
Since we've already opened this item, we will move into public comments.
At this time, the public is permitted to address the City Council on this agenda item. If you're participating via Zoom, please raise your hand. If you're in person, please file a card with the city clerk. Your microphone will be muted if you speak on items that do not pertain to this agenda item or after the speaker timer has expired. We received zero written public comments in advance of this item. I have no speaker cards in person or hands raised in Zoom.
Thank you. It appears that we're interested in continuing this item, and I would agree on the idea of looking at how staff would potentially take something like this on. Do you need criteria for a discussion of that? Do you want us to give you specifics on what we'd be looking for? Is that part of the discussion later?
This agenda item is about the RFP, but if the city council does not want us to move forward with the RFP, we'll bring back something as part of a strategic planning session.
Okay. Do we have discussion on that or a motion?
I make a motion to, was there some discussion on it? Or? I'd like to make a motion for us to bring this back under strategic planning, whatever. What did you say? I'm sorry.
The strategic plan.
Thank you. Strategic plan session.
And I'll second that.
Quick question, that doesn't need to include the suggestion that we also look at staff.
Yeah.
We've heard that loud and
That's
clear.
part of that. Okay, great.
Definitely.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is continued to a date uncertain. moving into item G2, Ricardo Noguera, Economic Development Manager, will introduce Perry Banner with De Novo Planning to present proposed amendments to the PA1 specific plan.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. This evening, you will receive a presentation by Perry Banner with De Novo Planning Consultants, who has been retained to consider amendments to the PA1 specific plan. But before I introduce Perry, and he shares a high-level list of proposed amendments and why Council should consider them, I wish to provide a brief background as to why we are here. In the fall of 2022, Council approved an amendment to the specific plan based on the 2018 adopted plan. At that meeting, Darren Gale, interim city manager, shared with Council that staff would most likely return in about a year with recommendations to amend the plan to reflect actual market conditions and based on outreach to the development community. Well, it's almost 3 years since that presentation, and staff have spent this time reaching out to the development community across the Bay Area, state of California, and beyond. Our outreach has consisted of attending conferences, hosting booths at trade shows, providing both in-person and Zoom tours of the Innovation Center, serving several meetings with developers and brokers, and significant outreach via social media. Based on this outreach, staff is requesting Council consider amending the specific plan to better reflect market conditions and our ability to successfully land developers and industry to build out the Innovation Center in the coming months and years. One of the key plan amendment requests is on mixed-use development, approximately 20 acres out there. The plan currently calls for a vertical mixed-use concept. Over the past 3 years, staff have met with more than a dozen developers across the state to promote acquisition and development. The list includes major statewide proven mixed-use developer, the Lewis Company, which has developed in Solano County, Sacramento, Riverside County, and so forth, as well as Blake's Griggs, which has developed mixed-use development in downtown Walnut Creek, and Avalon Bay, which is developed in Pleasant Hill. Every developer has concluded that vertical mixed use is not financially viable in most markets across the Bay Area, except where high residential rents in excess of $4.50 per square foot for residential and retail rents in excess of $4 per square foot. The only communities where this has worked are Walnut Creek, Danville, and the San Mateo Peninsula. Brentwood's average rents are less than $3 per square foot, so this option is not viable. In preparation for this evening's meeting, staff conducted further research on nearby mixed-use developments with the following conclusions. I looked at the city of Pittsburgh, the Atkinson mixed-use development. This project was completed last year with 202 units, over 13,000 square feet of retail space. Today, the 13,000 square feet is still completely vacant. In addition to that, in Pleasant Hill, along Treat Boulevard, just off the 680, this project was completed in 2012, immediately adjacent to the BART station. It took 10 years to fill out retail spaces along the main corridor, and those spaces around the BART Plaza. The remaining spaces were never leased and converted to apartments. The city of Walnut Creek. I reached out to Blake Griggs, which is one of the developers we reached out to initially, which is developed in Walnut Creek, Danville, Pleasant Hill, and the Peninsula. They developed the transit villages in downtown Walnut Creek, Phase 1, and attempted to develop Phase 2, immediately adjacent to that BART station. Phase 1 has approximately 14,000 square feet on the ground floor. 4,000 square feet has not been leased to date. Phase 2 has not broken ground due to high construction costs and interest rates. I also investigated a mixed-use development immediately across the street since I live nearby that. There's a Target, and this is a high-traffic corridor. This development was sent back to the bank and was foreclosed on, and the only space that has been leased in the past 4 years is a nail salon on the ground floor. Staff have discussed the horizontal Main Street option with the developers, and it appears there may be some interest, although the two sticking points of construction cost and interest rates will continue to be a challenge. While we're not recommending to drop the vertical mixed use entirely, we are recommending council to analyze, well, consultants to analyze the potential to consider a horizontal mixed use option. So without further ado, I'm now going to pass the mic to Perry Banner with De Novo Planning, who will share highlights of the proposed plan and amendments. And we will take note of your comments, and they will be reflected in the analysis as part of the plan amendment.
Real quick question. You said you have data. Why is the data not in the staff report?
Data.
You said you were bringing data or something?
The $4.50 and the $4 are both in the staff report.
That's the only data to support this?
Yeah, that is the data.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Well, great. Thank you, Ricardo, for that very detailed introduction and for kind of setting the table for tonight's discussion. Good evening, Mayor Meyer and members of the City Council. It's great to be presenting this to you tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to consider this item. I'm going to share my screen and launch into the PowerPoint, if that is okay. Great. Sorry, I seem to be missing some imagery here, but without further ado, I will carry on. As Ricardo indicated, Mayor Meyer and members of the City Council, what we kind of would like to do tonight is have just a very high-level presentation and introduction on some observations that staff has made with regard to the PA1 specific plan, and to discuss coming back at a later date with some possible amendments to the specific plan. So again, tonight is just meant to be high level, looking for some initial input from the City Council. To begin with, the PA1 specific plan was adopted back in 2018, and as Ricardo had indicated, in 2022, the plan was amended, and a specific plan, as with a general plan, periodically it needs to be revisited. The plans, these do have shelf lives, and often there are some changing circumstances. There we go. Perfect, thank you. So I think, sorry, I think that the Amanda may have changed the screen, and that's perfect. That's if I have to, Amanda, will I have to just indicate to move forward with the slides?
Yeah, I'll take control for here if you can just give a quick next or.
Absolutely, that's perfect. So first of all, the PA1 specific plan, it's actually more commonly referred to as the Innovation Center specific plan. And that's the way that the economic development team has been marketing the area. And that's just over time, that's just the way that the plan has come to be known. And the plan back in 2018, when it was first adopted, it was created to create this, or facilitate rather, the development of a kind of a vibrant, transit-oriented development in that area with a focus around a multimodal transit station. Next slide, please. And there's been, the economic development team has had some success with bringing development into the area. blossoms at Brentwood, the multifamily development, for example. More recently, Costco, of course. There's been capital improvement projects in the city or in the area with the Sand Creek Road extension. But as Ricardo had kind of indicated, what we're seeing over the past few years are some changing market conditions that have suggested to us that maybe the provisions within the specific plan are not quite in line with what's going on as far as market conditions are concerned in the Bay Area. Now, this is all kind of impacting the ability of the city and the economic development team to start to attract development into the area, specifically for the types of development that the specific plan was geared towards, which is kind of greenfield development for new commercial and industrial centers. Because what we see happening is that as property values have dropped sort of regionally for existing buildings, it's more advantageous for developers to come in, purchase an existing building, adaptively reuse that building. It's more advantageous than it is to develop these greenfield sites. Next slide, please. Without crossing over too much into what Ricardo had already indicated, not only were we hearing from developers as far as the costs associated with vertical mixed use, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more shortly, but we're also hearing from regional transit agencies that they're experiencing financial challenges, and that BART in particular has suggested to us that transit station that was envisioned for the specific plan is not foreseeable over the next several decades. And that's what we're hearing directly from representatives from BART. Next slide, please. So what can we do to kind of adjust to these changing market conditions? Well, from the economic development team and planning, we've kind of looked at some proposed possible amendments. And again, I want to make it clear that we're not looking for direction from council tonight. These are just some possibilities of what we might want to consider if the council wants to, in fact, amend the specific plan. And I'm going to get into these sort of 6 topical areas over the next few slides. Next slide, please. First, we'll start with what Ricardo was talking about, vertical and horizontal mixed use. Next slide. Now, Ricardo gave you some background information on the affordability and the how, the difficulty with penciling out these vertical mixed use projects, and he's hearing directly from the development community, of course. One thing that what we're not maybe suggesting when it comes to vertical, or rather the mixed use development, is not that we opt for horizontal mixed use rather than vertical mixed use, but perhaps we look at exploring allowing both possibilities. Now, in a horizontal mixed use development, what you would see is that these uses would be integrated horizontally rather than stacked vertically over a development. So you might have the retail commercial portion of a development oriented right on the street, and then the residential component behind that retail commercial parcel, all on the same site, all in the same development parcel. So again, just opening up the possibilities for development within the specific plan area and allowing both vertical and horizontal mixed use, something to consider. Next slide, please. Another thing that we'd like to have a look at, there's a number of, or rather the specific plan identifies permitted and conditionally permitted uses in all the zones that are identified in the specific plan. What we would like to do is kind of have a closer look at those permitted and conditionally permitted uses, open up, maybe allow additional uses within some of these zones, in particular, maybe expand uses related to research and development, light manufacturing, sort of more high-tech uses, try to attract medical and professional uses in restaurants and retailers. So just an exploration of what new types of uses could be allowed. Also, what we're hearing is that some of the smaller businesses that are looking at locating in Brentwood have identified that they're struggling with some of the CUP requirements in the specific plan. There, as you know, when it comes to a discretionary project, there's some uncertainty with regard to the time, the cost, whether the project will be approved or not. And what we've heard from some businesses is that they're concerned about the risk, and it's putting the area maybe in a competitive disadvantage to some of our neighboring jurisdictions, and some of the smaller businesses might be locating in adjacent communities. So we just want to have a little look at some of the permitted and conditionally permitted uses within the specific plan. Next slide, please. And go on to the next. The specific plan, this is a map directly out of the specific plan. It shows a conceptual road network and where parks could be located within the specific plan area. In the specific plan itself, it does identify that this is a conceptual layout for the roads, and there is some language that says that the final alignments will be kind of a function of the development as it occurs. But what we would like to do is go in, kind of strengthen the language a little bit through policies, et cetera, just to make it nimble enough so that we know that, look, there is flexibility with regard to these road alignments and where parks might be located within the specific plan area without requiring a specific plan amendment. So in the future, as development is occurring, if that road network that you're seeing right now needs to be adjusted somewhat, that it wouldn't require a visit to the city council to make an adjustment. So we just want to make sure that that language, that there's clarity in that language that, again, allows us to be nimble with regard to these road alignments. Next slide, please. So to talk about the transit station for a moment, as I indicated, what we're hearing directly from Bart is that the transit station that was envisioned for the project is decades away from actually occurring in Brentwood. And so there is an overlay at the core of the specific plan area. And there is some language in the specific plan that goes on to say something to the effect that if that transit station, if the ultimate location of that transit station isn't quite in that spot, or if there are other major shifts, that the area would revert to the underlying land use designations, this being the employment center light industrial zone, and therefore those underlying uses would be allowed to develop in that area where the transit station overlay is identified. Again, we just want to make sure that there's clarifying language in there, since we understand that that transit station is not likely to occur for several decades, and we'd like to still see that area develop. We just want to make sure that that language that's in the code is going to allow for those ICLEI type uses like business parks, lifestyle centers, destination retailers, and the like to actually develop in that area in the absence of the transit station. Great, and next slide, please. With regard to this topic of branding, as I indicated, the plan was adopted as the PA1 specific plan. Everyone, I think, from staff to economic development to the development community identifies the whole area as the Innovation Center. So why don't we start branding it as the Innovation Center? That's what it's known as, and maybe we should sort of rebrand this so it actually has a more of a sense of place. And along with that, since the transit station is not likely to occur for several decades, that maybe we should consider referring to that area instead of transit village. Perhaps we start to think of it as a town center or a smart city where people can live, work, and play. All that mix of commercial and residential development is still sort of at its core, but maybe by identifying it as a town center, it would better reflect the nature of what we're trying to build there. Next slide, please. And finally, we'd like to consider or have a look at some of the development standards that are in the specific plan. Just have a closer examination to make sure that those development standards are still going to work as we, consider any of these adjustments to the specific plan. The one that I've identified here on the slide, there is a school that's been earmarked to develop within the specific plan area. Now, one of our concerns would be, how does that school, which is a sensitive use, how does that then impact the types of development that you could have around that school? We want to make sure that those other uses, those employment center, light industrial uses, have enough flexibility with regard to the development standards that they can actually start to develop around that school and not be impacted by that sensitive use. Next slide, please. So where do we go from here? Again, to reiterate, this was only intended to be an introduction, to present the idea to the city council, to have a little bit of discussion, to get some sense of if the council even wants to go down this road of amending the specific plan. If the council wanted to give us the green light to sort of explore this a little further, staff would outline some preliminary amendments to the specific plan, and we would return to the city council probably in early 2026 with a rough draft of potential amendments. At that time, council, we'd have this as a public hearing. We'd have a deeper discussion on the types of amendments that are proposed. We get input from council, and we would return with a comprehensive ordinance for the Planning Commission and for the City Council to review and consider. Next slide, please. So the recommendation for tonight is simply that the City Council discuss and provide direction on potential changes to the PA1 specific plan that would adapt the plan to current market conditions. And with that, I'll end the presentation. I think that Ricardo and I, and maybe even Eric, will kind of tag team on any questions that the City Council may have. Thank you.
Any clarifying questions?
I do. Wasn't the initial goal to push the region for future transit investments for sustainable climate-friendly growth? Don't these suggestions push us backwards and not move us forward in an area where we just got a message that we have the worst commute?
No, I don't believe they do. And I also don't agree with the phrase that we have the worst commute. But
you also don't agree with you gave us data that's not data. So they actually gave data that we do have the worst commute. But in here you put on page 2, based on research conducted by staff, but we were never given research. I actually agree with her. This staff report it's frustrating because it doesn't give us the research, so.
Well, I have been conducting the research myself over the past couple of weeks. I've been reaching out to developers. The comment you made about is it bringing us back? When I first started this journey over 3 years ago, I reached out to Bart, and I said to Bart, "How soon will you?" This is when we were just leaving COVID. How soon do you expect to move forward with your BART extension to Brentwood? They said, to be honest, we don't see it for the next 30 to 40 years at the minimum. So I took a seat back. The most vital property we have that has utilities on Jeffrey Way, 35 acres. I said, are we going to hold that property back from development to wait for BART to come in the next 3 to 5 decades, or may not even come? And by the way, BART has been unloading real estate across the Bay Area for the past several years. So I don't see that happening. In terms of your question regarding research, at this point it's anecdotal. And what we're really asking you for tonight, I have reached out, and I'm gonna say I, because I've been reaching out to developers on a regular basis. And I meet with those who are willing to meet with me. I've gone to workshops. I've gone and given presentations, both in person and over Zoom. No developer is interested in doing vertical mixed use, and very few mixed use projects have occurred across the Bay Area, especially in cities. And I just shared with you in Pittsburgh, downtown Walnut Creek. I'm sure you go to downtown Walnut Creek and you can see the high vacancies. And by the way, developers have to eat that. That ground floor space that remains vacant for years, developers are eating that. The big difference between a Walnut Creek and a Brentwood, they're getting the rents and the proximity to BART. We don't have that. Our rents are all under $3 a square foot.
I watched that meeting before I was on council. I watched the meeting when the council sat all night and did the Innovation Center, and it was actually the most cohesive I'd seen. They had sat here and hammered it out for hours. One of my other questions is, don't these amendments, to me, they feel like they kind of risk eroding the intention behind everything? Like the consistency of the original vision is completely eroded by these amendments, it feels like.
Can I jump in, Ricardo?
Sure.
Yeah, so first of all, no amendments are being proposed. The council asked us to come back and give an update as it relates to the specific plan. And it's okay if the council wants to keep it as is. We, the update is we can't find developers that are willing to develop today under the current scenario. And we can always bring back additional information as kind of a couple council members have asked. But one of the things that I think is clear is we do not want to erode the purpose of the Innovation Center or the PA1 specific plan, that it is a job center. And the mixed use, just to put in perspective, what it currently states is that there's 25 acres, 100% first floor has to be commercial, and then up to 5 stories tall. Above that can be residential. And if I remember correct, 10% of the total square footage has to be at least commercial, but the entire first floor. So one of the things that I want to make clear, at least from the economic development side, is we do not want to erode or change the purpose of the specific plan. And the mixed use is really only 25 acres of a larger 200 acre site. And if the council does not want to make changes, we're okay with that, and we'll continue to market that to kind of to the industry and to developers, to try to find developers both regionally, statewide, and nationally to come and look at the Innovation Center.
But Darren, I'm sorry, but you said that we asked you for an update, but I don't feel like this is an update, especially on page 2, it says proposed amendments. So these are proposed amendments. An update is just telling us, like, we're having a hard time getting developers to come here. Can you give us some more direction? But this, to me, does erode the original vision. And I wasn't even here, but I feel some kind of way. And I'm not trying to be a big meanie pants. It also is frustrating when there's mention to research. Just giving us the number after is not research. Like, I want to know how you got to that number, what came up to it. So it's frustrating when you work all day and then you have to hear double reports, because we both heard from Ricardo and Perry. And then it's a lot of just basically reading off what we have here. And I know we want to make sure the public sees it, but I'm just this is the only time I have the opportunity it's frustrating after a long day of work and then work again to not get so just update us. That's all. If we ask for an update, just give us an update. That's all and I don't want to be a meanie, but I also want us to have, we pretty much do efficient reports, but this one to me felt like it was a transition, and it pivots us from something totally different than what I watched that night. This is a complete pivot. And I know we talk about market cycles. Market cycles are temporary. And if we got to hold the line, let's hold the line. But I feel like I'm getting into discussion. This is going beyond the question, so I apologize.
That is okay. Do you have other questions?
I do.
I have one question. So with this proposal, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I can't usually hear on either side, so we're fine. We talked about Mr. Banner, thank you for the presentation, but when we were talking about a specific plan and a high-level overview, and then asking for direction from us, it feels more like, do you want us to pivot or change, and not giving us any options that may lie there. I do understand the vertical or horizontal mixed use. I do understand that there are some options, but you're not even really asking us to make those decisions today. So I'm confused as to what you're asking us to do.
So, and I guess the mixed use piece has been so close to me because I've spent so much time on it over the past 3+ years. But what we're asking you this evening for is to allow the consultant to go forward and do the analysis on those 6 areas, and then come back in January with recommendations and to gain your feedback then. So right now, we're just sharing with you, we've been working on this for close to 3 years now. We don't have any takers on the vertical mixed use. We have some issues with the CUP versus permitted uses. We have some development standards. We had a developer who wanted to relocate a park and so forth. So we're just trying to get the initial feedback from you so that the consultant can go do his analysis and then return over the next 3 to 4 months with more thorough recommendations and some meat in it, so you can provide some real actual recommendations.
So the request to us is to allow you guys to go out and maybe come up with some other plans, some other ideas as to what we could use the same property for, sticking with that it's for creating businesses that will be large employers within the city. The only other question I have, how much of this data has been acquired since the PG&E extension? So
PG&E?
since we've started to get the rights to move PG&E over across Highway 4.
Oh, you mean the water and the utilities? How much has been?
How much of this data that you're saying you're having a hard time doing this, but it's been a very short period of time?
I've been marketing this since the spring of 2022. The plan was to extend Sand Creek Road from Highway 4 to Hydron Ranch Road so that we could support businesses like Costco and improve circulation on the west side of the freeway. The other key point, and I think that's what you're referring to, not PG&E, but water and utilities from the terminus of Empire Avenue to the immediate west side of the Highway 4 has been in the works for a number of years. And just over the past 6 to 9 months, we were able to get the property owners, the two adjoining property owners, to support the easement, the utility easements. But this has been an ongoing effort in terms of marketing.
Councilmember Orlin.
I just wanted to ask you to clarify, Councilmember, are you asking, since utilities have been allowed to move forward, right? Since we've been able to move those forward, has there been any change in the data and in the response and in the planning and everything since then?
Yeah, see, that's what I meant to say.
So,
So and I apologize for
Unfortunately.
referencing as PG&E versus.
I speak Orlemans.
Councilmember Orlemans, every single project has made the assumption that the city was going to complete the Sand Creek Road extension and the utilities in order for their projects to move forward. And even with that, they've been unwilling to move forward their projects. So since day one, that's as much as we hadn't had approvals for them, they had always been taken into consideration that the city would be extending the road and the utilities to the other side of Highway 4. So it's always been included as part of the calculus.
Councilmember Mendoza.
So I guess, and I had said this, I had said this to you, I did not like the staff report at all. I feel like it's, if you wanted to sell me on something, you weren't going to sell me on anything. And my question is, going from horizontal to vertical, we built this, and you can watch the meeting, we used a plug and play that I built to go, because we had to meet a certain number of housing for RENA. And Alexis was on that, and we worked really hard because we had to hit a number. And the way to hit that number was by the acreage. So do you have a swag of, if you're asking me to even consider moving from vertical to horizontal, what is your swag of how many units will be compromised when I do that?
We cannot lose any units.
Okay, but you will lose units because you're gonna go from, however 5 stories to whatever stories. So how are you going to do that? Because you're telling me I'm not, but you're asking me to change, and now we have a school. So there has to be a swag because there's going to be a change.
So where the school is located, there was never any housing that was proposed. That was part of the ECLI. As it relates to part of the analysis, as we would look at that, and we know that we can lose no units as it relates to any changes within the specific plan.
Okay, so if someone were to come to me, I would like to see the data behind that.
Absolutely.
Like, how do you keep your acreage, go from one to another, and not use? So that's what I would have expected from data tonight. If you're trying to sell me on something, but there's nothing for me to buy right now.
I want to continue, actually, because this is my main question for this whole thing, too, is the triggering of SB 330 and the concern of losing units on a vertical to a horizontal similar footprint, but nowhere near as many residential units. So could you pull up that one slide, Mr. Banner, that shows the comparison between the vertical and the horizontal? Because I think that's where it looks like we're losing units in that slide.
Should we take public comments and maybe then we can start discussing?
Well, that was a question, though, about the triggering of SB 330, but yes, absolutely.
So go ahead, Perry.
I was just going to direct Amanda since has control. There you go. Thank you, Amanda. and Mayor Meyer, this is only meant to demonstrate what a horizontal mixed-use configuration would look like relative to a vertical configuration. It's not meant to be, anywhere near an apples to apples comparison as far as like the number of units is concerned.
Okay. With that, I'm thinking we move into public comments and then get back into discussion. Is everyone good with that? Okay. Public comments, please.
At this time, the public is permitted to address the city council on this agenda item. If you're participating via Zoom, please raise your hand to speak. If you're in person, please file a speaker card with the city clerk. Your microphone will be muted if you speak on items that do not pertain to this agenda item or after the timer has expired. We did not receive any written public comments in advance of this meeting. I have one comment in person. Melissa?
Hello. I feel like it's been a hot second. Thank you so much. Just real quick, I think moving forward with any kind of study or making any sort of change right now, when we are potentially facing a nationwide recession, when there are ridiculous amounts of tariffs, if I were a developer, I wouldn't want to build right now either, because my cost is going to be so high, it's going to be prohibitive for other people. I think that while I know BART is having some issues and bleeding money at the moment, hopefully there is a rescue in sight. But after a global pandemic, it's going to take time to rebuild your public transit ridership. Unfortunately, Tri-Delta has been affected, and now there are people who I know who cannot drive, who cannot get places that they need to because our routes and our stops have been affected. So doing away with a transit-oriented area and village, I think is kind of absurd, because hopefully in 30 years or sooner, maybe it turns itself around. If we're going to keep building, commuters are going to keep coming, and we're going to need that public transit center, which comes along with the vertical housing. In the amount of research that I was able to do over the weekend, which wasn't a ton, admittedly, not as much as staff has been able to work on, I know, but it does show that vertical development is on the rise nationwide. And in urban areas of California, we're not getting any smaller. We are already suburban. This is the most suburban city I've ever lived in. And so keeping that footprint, I think, is important, because once you go horizontal and build out, you can't go back and take that away, and then as far as these developers, my question there is the $4 and $4.50, is that what they need to make back to break even? And this is just a clarifying question, not a, is that what their expense and that's where they need to be to break even, or is that what they need to line their pockets at our expense? So I would just like to urge you to consider leaving it as it is. See, in a few months, what the economic climate is in the nation. Are we actually in a recession? What new tariffs have been levied? What is going to be on our backs to pay? Thank you.
I have no additional speaker cards in person. I do have one hand raised in Zoom. Danny, go ahead.
Great, thank you. I'm honestly trying to figure out what the heck's going on here, because my simple statement is, why are people trying to mess with this again? There was a plan, the plan's been tweaked. What I'm hearing is, quite simply, if you go horizontal, spread it out, well, that means more money in more pockets as opposed to going vertical. With respect to clients, and I had this conversation once before, and maybe we just need the proper people to go out and attract this business, right? The new buzzword is AI, artificial intelligence. It's not magic pixie dust. It requires servers. It requires a lot of servers. I built data centers. We could have a 50,000 square foot data center with top grade hardened equipment to assist in the growth of AI. And that's just 50,000 square feet. 50,000 square feet can accommodate approximately 1,200 servers and requires about 12 gigawatts. And we have not just PG&E, but we also have the opportunity to tie into the wind farms that are literally over the hill. My point being, we need to think ahead. We are still trying to, just do money grabs. The gentleman mentioned Pittsburgh, he mentioned Walnut Creek, and what he failed to mention was Pittsburgh was a bust. That was a terrible idea. Walnut Creek had no room to grow. Ours is different. Ours is flat land, and it's a lot of it. We have so many things we can do that the other cities can't. And again, one of them is to put in hard equipment that will require people on staff. It is high paying jobs. It will bring the Googles and the Groks and everyone else, it will give them an attractive area. We need to stop thinking out of the box. And if that means letting these people go who don't bring actual facts and say, okay, yeah, $4 a square foot or $3 a square foot or whatever the case may be, I can throw out numbers. That doesn't help. And to give the impression of, well, if you don't do it now, you're going to miss out and it's going to take years. Well, it took 20 years for Bridal Gate. It took 20 years for our soccer field. Are we in that big of a rush? I mean, we are the jewel of East Contra Costa County. We need to stop selling ourselves like we're cubic zirconia. They need us more than we need them. Let's stick with our plan. Thank you.
I have no additional hands raised in Zoom.
Thank you. I think there's going to be quite a bit of discussion, and who would like to start? Obviously, Councilmember Mendoza.
Yeah, when I asked for an update, this isn't what I meant. I think that an update is who have you talked to? What were the specific comments? What was the specific feedback they had back? I think that would be more helpful than just putting things out there like this. I don't know if y'all remember a time when Goodwill wanted to come to Brentwood, over on the corner of Brentwood Boulevard and Balfour. That is what light industrial is. They wanted to put the Goodwill with the little warehouse on the side. I don't want light industrial. We talked about that. 5,000 square foot retail, that's Walmart. We already said no to Walmart. Yeah, that's Walmart, because Walmart already tried to come once. I don't want 5,000 square foot because we're going to get stores like that. I think my original vision was that this was going to be a little bit more elevated than what you are providing here. Advanced manufacturing, I just thought we didn't want we wanted more office jobs, more like that kind of stuff, like life science, R&D, but this is just so different. Like Vice Mayor was saying, it's so different than the original vision that there's a couple things. I don't think we should do anything until we have a new city manager and get a fresh set of eyes on it is one thing. And then until that person is in place, I think that we hold off. The other thing is I just don't like these changes. I mean, do we remember that when we changed the zoning at the streets of Brentwood, we were told and do you remember that? Like we were told one thing and then all of a sudden someone talked to someone else and like, oh, they want to tear down the DSW and put a Costco there. That's where the Costco originally wanted to come, unbeknownst to us, because we made a zoning change we thought was not a big deal. And then we're like,
we don't want Costco over there. And then we had rezoned it and we weren't gonna have a choice. The only reason that didn't happen, and it's because my girlfriend works for Sprouts, called and told me that Sprouts was gonna sue Costco because they have a non-compete with vegetables. That's the only reason the Costco didn't happen there. So I think we have to be very, very careful on what we put where. And if we ever want to do any zoning changes, we got to go through the same exercise we did the other, like in 2020. That detailed, it needs to be like a workshop. This, and again, if you're going to come with this, it's because a wide variety of uses that may include hotels. You're looking at industry standards, you're looking at strategic plans where people are saying this hotel type of layout, or this is what the industry is saying, this is what they see is going to happen. I mean, I do it all the time for work. I have to do 5-10-year outlooks. I just did it today on Bloody Marys. Like, what's the outlook for Bloody Marys? You have to have an outlook for all of the things that you're suggesting, and that should have been in this report, and it's not in the report. If you're going to ask me for something, tell me why. The other thing is BART. So I talked to Mark Foley. They don't want to lose this area for BART. I don't want to lose this area for BART. I don't want to lose it for transit. It might not be BART, it might be something else. But like Melissa was saying, once it's gone, it's gone. And the people who live here in the future are the ones that are going to have to deal with it. Just like we have to deal with Highway 4 the way it was built because someone didn't have the vision that it was going to get busy. So we need to be able to just hold our horses. And I'd rather have dirt than bad projects. And when we come back, I want to see a plug and play of all of the housing. How are we going to meet that housing number in that area the same way we did before? But I'm not happy with a lot of conditional use permits. I don't like any of it, none of it at all whatsoever. Because we've been down that road and we as a council have been bamboozled. I don't want to get bamboozled again.
Staff is definitely not trying to bamboozle. And you didn't say that. I just want to make sure that the public knows that there's no bamboozling, there's no shady, like.
But you understand what I mean? Like, if we're not that specific.
I get it, Councilmember Mendoza. When you make a comment like that, it makes it appear as though staff is trying to I think the word you use, bamboozled. We are not doing that here. This is a first step, and it's okay if the council doesn't want to move forward with it. I'm okay with that. And I appreciate the good feedback, right? I hear you, and we can do a better job, and we will do a better job. And as we get to the end, and after there's lots of discussion, I just want to make sure and clarify. I just need to protect staff so that residents don't think.
No, and I get that, but when you come with these types of CUP changes, tell people what worst case scenario is and best case scenario is.
So this is kind of the horse in the cart. Which one do you put first? We came forward saying, would you like us to consider this before we bring back to you all of the details? And I absolutely understand where I hear the majority of the council. We can do a better job bringing more information. This was kind of an initial discussion so that we could come back with more information. And like I said, I think we're quite all right if we don't move forward with it. We will continue. We have a great economic development team that will continue trying to push along the innovation center. And I do think there's small tweaks that'll be needed. I think it's better that we do it without a developer in tow, because then we don't get to pick. When a developer, right now, what the developers are saying is we can't make it work over the past 3 years, but we can continue to work, and we're going to, trust me, we will continue to look for more developers. Ricardo's going to 2 more conferences in the next 45 days, and we continue to look for people. So again, I apologize that I kind of jumped in, but I just want to make sure that residents understand the staff we're putting out information, the council then can give us direction, then we bring back something. There's still a lot of work that have to be done if the council even wanted to make changes to the specific plan.
Yeah. But I hope you understand where I'm coming from, because from the resident perspective, when I was the resident and seeing having to fight things like the Walmart and the Goodwill, and then when I first got elected, the Costco over at the DSW, that felt to me like we didn't get all of the information. So that's why I'm disappointed with the staff report.
Understood.
Because we need to know worst and best case scenario, right? Like when we say light industrial, like
have you talked to someone? And maybe you can't tell us in public, but if you have, and that's the thing is, if you have talked to someone, the Brown Act allows you to talk to all 5 of us individually. This is the light industrial that wants to come. What's your appetite for that? Before you even ask us for a zoning change, because it could be something that we're like, yeah, we don't want to see that in the middle of our PA1, or we do. Or if there's a hotel coming, this hotel's interested, this type of hotel, you don't even have to give me the brand name, this type of hotel is interested. Because when it was the other one that I didn't like, right by our school, that it was a trucker stop hotel, I had a fit about it. So like now you know that, so I think that we need to know more just-in-time information, and we don't get that. And I think when I said update, that's the kind of update I want. Who are you talking to? What is their exact feedback?
And that's, as we last month, our goal, I shouldn't say our goal, is we're going to be providing an update to the city council twice a year, and we'll be able to describe some of those things. And then at those meetings, we can get some feedback from council and bring some things forward. So I appreciate, I just want to make sure that the council hears, I hear the feedback, and we will do better. And we appreciate the constructive feedback.
Thank you. Did you want to go next? Go ahead.
So that answered my very first question I asked. What you guys are asking for is just permission to go, and if there are changes, they're going to have to come back to us anyway. We're going to have to approve whatever the change is and what that zoning change is. So that's all this staff report was asking us to do, is give you the right or the ability to go out and start researching other options. The tweaking of roads, not necessarily locked into the locations they are, the transit overlay, the specific plan rebranding, the names. So you're just looking for permission to be able to do that. That's correct. That's what the staff report is.
But the staff report
So
doesn't
thank you
say
for
that.
for clearing it up.
The staff report doesn't say that. That's what he said tonight, but it didn't say that in the staff report.
Right. That's why the first question, I was thanking Darren for answering it, because it makes much more sense that way than it did in the staff report. Thanks.
I would just have to bring us back. It's been brought up a couple of times to that meeting in 2022. That's probably might be the longest of our meetings in history that I've been here, that Councilmember Mendoza's been here, that maybe other councils have even been here. And it was so deliberate, it was exhausting, but it was a really good, strong, we are thinking ahead for future residents, as was mentioned, because some of us that came on council, maybe all of us, I don't know, one of the things that we were not enjoying that we were seeing is that people were thinking so short-term. There was not a lot of long-term planning and not a lot of long-term vision from the council at the time. And it meant for, again, overcrowded schools and overcrowded roads and lacking infrastructure and transportation. So it was a very deliberate investment of time and effort to spend that entire evening into the next morning working on parcel by parcel. So I also have a visceral reaction to some of these changes that it looks like are being suggested. But I also want to say, and I'm sorry, I just kind of jumped in without asking if you wanted to go, but I don't support the removal of the BART, the parcels there, is that zoning, because again, BART or not BART, I feel like once we remove it, as it's been said, we don't have that ability to use that anymore for that particular purpose. So I don't support that idea. I do definitely want to understand more about the vertical versus horizontal as far as like what it really in reality would look like, because I can't see SB 330 not being triggered, which is a major problem for us. So I also want to know, if we were to move forward, which I don't at this point feel like we should move forward with this report from the consultant, what is the cost on that?
Not to exceed $50,000.
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Not to, the cost for this consultant is not to exceed $50,000.
Okay. And I'm torn on that, not to say, Mr. Banner, that you're not completely worth every penny of that. I just feel like we're premature in moving forward with a consultant reporting on changes that are here when there are some of us that are very much opposed to what's been mentioned so far. And it doesn't feel as thoughtful a process as I think we would really like for it to be, considering what the expectations are for this particular parcel of land. And I think there's so much to what was being said before about tariffs and economic climate at this moment and all those things. And I just am feeling very nervous about even the idea of getting a consultant's report on some of these changes, because we really need to be thoughtful about this. We can't make quick decisions on it.
Can I just, you know, maybe it's my fault because I'm an implementer and I've gone into communities, whether they're Union Cities, Union Landing Retail Center that I helped build out, East Palo Alto's Gateway Shopping Center, University Circle in East Palo Alto, a major mixed-use development in North Miami, downtown Tacoma. Maybe I was trying to push the envelope too fast. And I also saw challenges in the Bay Area, office buildings in San Ramon being torn down and residential replacing them. Same thing in San Mateo. I see a lot of changes taking place. Sure, the market may come back, but if the council and the community are prepared, and maybe I'm not, that New York blood doesn't like to wait, but maybe if the council's prepared to hold off for the next 5 to 10 years and approach this delicately and gradually, then staff are listening and we will take your direction. But I'll tell you, you name a developer, whether they're office, industrial, retail, or residential in this entire Bay Area, I've spoken to them. And many of them didn't know Brentwood existed 3+ years ago. They know us now. So I apologize if I was trying to move too quickly.
Councilmember Maloney.
First off, thank you, Ricardo, for your report, and thank you to Perry. I appreciate everyone's conversation here. What I am going to add from my perspective is just reading the staff report. I did think that we were going to be proposing or deciding on amendments, but now after listening to the conversation, I understand where I'm coming from, or my thought process is that I personally would need a little bit more tangible data and specific examples to be able to understand every single point that was outlined in the staff report, to be able to propose any type of research or a consultant to research these amendments. And maybe I quite frankly think that maybe all of us need to do a workshop that would just focus on what amendments we need to have. We need to kind of go through it through a fine comb and see what we need to change, if anything. But I think we need to come up with those proposed amendments ourselves and push it forward if needed to be. But I don't think we should be doing that anytime soon, maybe like in a couple of months or at the beginning of the year.
Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you for that moment of self-reflection, and I'm not here to attack you or beat you up. I actually was gonna, as everyone was talking, and then my experience of how you've presented is, I know you are an eager beaver, and you're trying to make sure that we get as much development as we can that matches what the intention is. But I think what you all have done so far, if you gave me the report, has been excellent. To get Costco here, for you all to get Costco here, to get the complex that you got here in 3 years is big. So I don't want you to beat yourself up. I don't want staff to beat yourself up, but there is an expectation that when this is posed as an amendment, there are certain things that we're expecting to see in a staff report that just wasn't there. And also, but yeah, slow down. It's okay. Because I think fools rush in, and we can take our time. And I think Melissa said it well. It's like kind of see what the climate is, and let's see what we can hold off. And maybe if we hold the line down a little bit, maybe we'll get better opportunities than if we rush. Who would think Mr. Dorman talked about the 20 years for the complex. Hopefully 20 years we'll have a nice amphitheater. Hopefully sooner than later. But yeah, and then I was gonna say that, there are developers, without going into details, that are trying to bring some vertical builds in districts like District 2. That maybe we should approach them about coming over to that area versus other areas of the city. So I won't go into details about that because that's not before us. But yeah, I'd just like us to get the update. And then let's, if we can bring it back. But I don't want to move forward with with this because as proposed, it feels like once we move in that direction, it almost feels like we have to make an amendment and we don't have to. So I'd prefer we got to get a little bit more of a clearer update with suggestions both for and keeping, not just one view. Because a lot of times when we get the staff reports, it's like, here's what we think we should do, but what's the devil? Can you give us the devil's advocate of the opposite? So I'd like to see that too. And I feel like at that one meeting, that was a workshop already. So I just kind of would like to just get a more clearer update.
Yeah, and I think the one thing is we know there is a project with an application there. And I think we need to figure out what's going to happen with that project before we make any other decisions. And I don't know how long we have to wait for that project to come to fruition to us. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to, it is on the page, it is on the development page. So I think we need to be realistic that there is something. So there is a project that is not what we originally wanted. So I feel like I want to find out what's going to happen with that project and then adjust accordingly if we need to.
Cass, you said that a project that you didn't want, or
No, I didn't. Not that I didn't want.
Sorry.
Something that we didn't. There's a project on the project page off of Sand Creek that is not what we originally zoned it for.
She's talking about west of the freeway.
I'm talking about north of Sand Creek.
North of Sand Creek.
Yes.
That's not part of the Innovation Center.
Yeah, but that's not part of, the zoning is different than what we originally planned.
In the Innovation Center?
No, it's at the, it's at the bottom.
Got it. Sorry. Thank you.
So I think we need to figure out, because it's all like a plug and play with the number of houses that we have to build. So if there is a number of houses built, because we can move units, right? Like we can say, okay, we can downsize. I think there's so many moving parts that we also need to figure out what's going on with that. Does that make sense? So like,
Yes.
if I'm gonna be forced to do X amount of units here, can then I reduce X amount of units over there? It's all like,
Understood.
it's all a shell game right now with the way the laws are written in California.
So, and I will say too, just as a thank you again for the work that went into this. When we're asking for an update, it doesn't necessarily mean we're looking for immediate traction. We just want to know where we are, and again, what some realistic options are. Is someone ready to make a motion?
I don't think there's a need for a motion. Really, the motion tonight was either to move forward with the idea of kind of initiating the process as relates to an amendment of the specific plan. I do not hear that from the city council. So as part of the next economic development update, Ricardo and his team and our team will put together kind of a better update as relates to development and I think I've got a good idea from the discussion here, but at least for right now, I'd say we would put on hold any type of changes to the specific plan.
Thank you. And I would ask too that when those updates come, that they are resident friendly, if you know what I mean, like making sure that they are clear for residents to understand, and hopefully we can get some engagement. I think
I keep it here. It's in my all the time. So our idea is to have something nice like this on a quarterly basis that anyone could pick up and anyone could understand with our reports.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so we have accepted that. We're not moving forward with anything. Do we have any motion to adjourn at this point?
Wait, you have future agenda item requests?
Oh, sorry, future agenda items.
No, but before we adjourn, I just wanted us to stay in order. I'm sorry, but I do have a request, and that is my grandmother watches our city councils. Today is her 92nd birthday.
Oh my gosh.
So if we can adjourn in honor of my grandma, Leola Bluford today.
You don't want to sing?
Happy birthday, Grandma.
No, I sang to her already. Happy birthday to my grandma, who's probably
Happy
watching
birthday.
us. Otherwise, she'll be at Thunder Valley Casino. All right, thank you.
Adjourning in honor of Patanisha's grandmother. Do we have the motion to do that?
I make the motion.
Oh, go. Sorry, it's your grandma.
You second it?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.